Welcome to this week's episode of Esports Wrap. I'm your host, Michael Amagan, and this week we're going to be talking about something that's been plaguing the video game industry, mainly on computers, for a while now, and that's gaming launchers, video game launchers. And a little bit further down inside the show, we're going to be talking about gaming social networks, and whether you should even be bothering with one, what they're all about, that kind of thing. So to start things off, let's get right into what gaming launchers are. Gaming launchers are the place essentially where you would go to start up a game. And this has become a problem for a few reasons, but the main one is that different video game developers like Blizzard, Final Fantasy, a lot of the Korean-based games, they kind of have their own launcher, which you would log into and that would update for you. Ragnarok is one of the oldest games that I know that this one was actually really annoying for me back in the day, Ragnarok Online. And there were plenty, trust me, plenty different. It was almost to the point where every game had its own launcher because there was no dedicated place where people can go purchase a game and have one place to launch it from. And that's where places like Steam actually came about. Steam is an online platform for gaming developers where they can place their games. People can buy them. People can have the chat service, calling service, and just be able to launch their games and other applications from this one source, which is what a lot of people wanted. Circa day 2019, and now this has actually changed quite a bit for the fact that, now it's back to the place where game developers are still trying to push this. We want as much information as we can, and so we're going to move away from like using these launchers. We're going to try and push our own thing again. And because of that, then you have a bunch of different launchers now available, and they kind of segregate the market and divide it in a not so pleasant way. Because one thing that Steam did well was allowing us to find our friends that also played these same games, sometimes doing multiplayer, and just being able to see achievements and things like that on one space. The issue now is that we have a crap ton of launchers nowadays. So just taking a look at the most popular launchers as said by PC Gamer. It's of course Steam, as I mentioned. Then a fairly more recent group in time is GOG Galaxy, followed by one that I've actually never heard before, itch.io, followed by Origin, who's this essentially is Electronic Arts or EA Games. So you'll find things like Anthem or Plants vs. Zombies or Battlefront or Apex Legends. You'll find them all inside the Origin launcher. Malita says, honestly, it really does get annoying having so much launches, and it does. It really does. But the thing about it is, I'm not even done. We still have what Microsoft tried to do with their Windows Store, which kind of failed horribly. Like, the only real game that had a chance was Gigantic, and that didn't really roll out the way it should have. But that's not really Microsoft's fault that the game didn't succeed. But it still is the fact that they could have done a lot better. A lot of developers decided not to even use that platform. Some do, and you have to pay for stuff versus if you just download from their website for free, which is kind of weird. You have Battle.net, which is Blizzard and Activision's games, so you're going to be finding things like World of Warcraft, Diablo, StarCraft, Heroes of the Storm, Overwatch, Hearthstone, Call of Duty, Destiny 2. Games like that you're going to find over on the Battle.net launcher, which previously was called the Blizzard launcher. Yeah, they kind of changed that. Then there's the Bethesda launcher, which is going to be things like Fallout 76 and pretty much the Bethesda games, including, Elder Scrolls Online, so Elder Scrolls Legends, so on and so forth. It's kind of weird. Like, I don't know why Bethesda really needed one. Then again, it was annoying having that one launcher just for Elder Scrolls Online back in the day. And then we're still not done. We still have Uplay, which is the one for Ubisoft. So you're gonna find stuff like Assassin's Creed and whatnot on there. It's not great. It's not great at all. I'll be quite honest. I wish things were different, but they're not. And here's the kicker. You could have sometimes used Facebook to find your friends and just log into these things via Facebook, or at least give it access to your Facebook contacts and it can try to find your friends. But the thing is, because of how Facebook's been acting and the security breaches and people just generally not wanting to log in with their social media stuff, you can't really find your friends all that easily. I think with Origin, I on Steam have a few dozen friends. On here, on Origin, I have 23, of which I probably only ever see 2 or 3 ever on. Steam, I can go on Steam right now. Let me open that up. See my friends. View friends. I've got 10 online. And one playing Hearts of Iron 4 apparently right now. I can open up, let's see, Blizzards. And I've got 25 friends online or on mobile, pretty much available to talk in some form or fashion. But the thing about it is, while you do have means to do the basic stuff on pretty much every platform, like chatting and having a voice conversation, it's still not the same. You're still not easily able to find your friends and play games with them. And I think that's one of the reasons why things like Discord came about. And guess who now became a launcher? Discord. Yeah, they're now a store as well. So you can launch your games and buy your games from Discord. Along with seeing your friends that are playing games and stuff like that, and talking to them, having a voice call. And yeah, this kind of thing is not going away at all. And there are a number of articles pretty much saying, there are too many game launchers around. And they're right. In my personal opinion, they are super right. There's also the Epic game launcher that, the creators of Fortnite decided to do, and now Metro Exodus and other games and stuff like that are now launching over on there as well, sometimes at cheaper prices than what you'll find on Steam, especially if you're looking at particular regions, which is something I found out that was kind of odd. So if you're in the Bahamas, there are certain games that are actually cheaper than if you were in the States, or even in Latin America, or things like that. So it's still, I don't know what you would call it. This is just not the way it really should be. But if you do not want to use these built-in game launchers that come in with your game essentially, or that you are required to use to launch your game, there are alternatives. And they can pretty much go anywhere along the lines of, let's say, NVIDIA's GeForce Experience, which, optimizes your game, but you can also launch from there. But there are other ones that are actually built specifically for launching games and as game managers. Some of which are Photon Game Manager, which some people say has a really interesting UI. I personally think so. It's but it works with Windows from XP and up and Linux platforms. Sorry, Mac users. If you need, but it only allows for a certain amount of games, which is 5 games, and if you want to actually let it manage more than that, you have to pay $15. But version 2 and 3, because this is version 4 that they're doing that, version 2 and 3 are free with no restrictions at all. So people like that one more so because of its media center type of design. It's here or there for me. You also have Launchbox, which was originally a front end for DOSBox or DOS box. They're divided to change things around, support PC games, and a variety of emulators, which is pretty cool. That one is available on Windows from Vista onwards, and they're talking about doing Mac and Linux ones as well. So keep an eye out for that, guys. They do have a freemium and a free and premium version. The premium version has more customization options and a big box mode, and that one costs $20 instead of $15. They say it's comparable as it enables users to set up visually appealing gaming databases, and it's partnered with MU Movie so that you can quickly add associated box art, fan art, logos, screenshots, and videos to your game database. You'll also find associated meta tag pertaining to the title, genre, release, platform, etc. And in the premium version, people can then customize window color themes and fonts and set up custom fields and filters. And as we know, because of Steam and stuff like that, big box essentially is more like a theater type experience. Then we have Game Room, which is another program. It's more Windows based. It starts from 7 and up, Windows 7 and up. It supports Steam, Origin, Battle.net, Uplay, and Origin digital distributors. So if you get something from somewhere else, you're going to have to manually add it, much like what you would have to do in Steam. Let's see. Malitage says, one good thing about Discord is that you can import all of your games so you don't have to go through every launcher. And I agree. I think one of the better ones is actually becoming Discord. Just simply because it can tie into pretty much everywhere. It can tie into Steam, it can tie into Twitch, it can tie in to your social media networks, and it can help you find your friends based off of that, which is not something that you're finding in a lot of these launchers. You kind of have to dig around in some abstract user setting on the website that they have to find your friends, to possibly find your friends, I should say. Anyway, so yeah, Game Room pretty much finds those things for you. You can configure the program to leave some of the Steam or Origin games, if you want, out from it. It also has IGDB, so that's the game database stuff. Provides, background wallpapers, cover art, stuff like that. Then there's one that's called Gaming PC, which is kind of weird, and I don't like it just for that name. But it's a freeware program that enables users to launch and boost games before opening them. And I hate that term called boost. I'm going to get to that more in when I get to Razer Cortex in just a moment. But actually, you know what? Let's just talk about them both. The next one is Razer Cortex. And it was interesting because they had Razer, the laptop peripheral gaming computer maker, essentially decided to make a launcher for games and give you an incentive, which was called Z Silver, Z Coin. Well, Z Coin on a whole. It's silver, gold, platinum, so on and so forth. And they would promote certain games, and if you played the game for X period of time, they would give you a certain amount of silver or gold or whatever it is, and then you can use that currency to then buy stuff from their store. It could have been anything from apparel to actual peripherals, or if you somehow used up and not used up, but got a lot of coin, maybe a device of some sorts. The process has changed a lot from Razer over the years. It's not really been used all that much, but Gaming PC, and I like what you're saying there. Yeah, it's totally the most creative name out there. But yeah, gaming PC and Razer Cortex apparently boost your computer when you're playing a game, and this pretty much means that it's going to cut back on anything that's using the system resources other than the game, and this can sometimes cause problems because it can cause a lot of issues because when you shut down the game, then these things have to pretty much try to grab for system resources again so they can run properly, and that can sometimes cause freezing, overheating, so on and so forth. So it's kind of I get what you're going for because now you're making the game run smoothly, but if I have something in the background, that's going to suffer hardcore, especially if I'm trying to record something. So I personally never really used it. I just used the launcher and just played the games and didn't really use the Cortex side of it. And then they did their whole, well, Razer Cortex did their whole rebranding and reshuffling around of what the launcher was all about, and I just stopped using it on a whole. But it's a launcher that you can use if you decide to. Yeah, I agree with you on that, Malitash. Like, I don't trust things that say, oh, we're going to boost your computer automatically. No, you're about to do some funky stuff to my computer, like rewriting registry files and closing out system processes and turning things off here and there. And I don't know exactly what's being done. I like to do that myself, so I know exactly what to turn back on after I've turned it back off. Then you have another one called Gamer Desk. Yeah, the creative usernames are just like there, guys. This one's for Windows 10 and 8. That you can essentially add platforms by pressing the Get the App button at the top of whatever page this is. But apparently it's only compatible with Windows desktop and laptop platforms and is still in beta. It pretty much enables users to create and organize a game library with which to launch games. They can add downloaded cover art, so pretty much the same stuff. It has, actually, let me correct myself, it does not really have that many extra tools. And they're saying they're going to add some more. But one that I've found a lot of people actually talking about and kind of raving over is called Play Night. And this is night, much like how you'd find Fortnite, Nite, and it's all one word, Play Night. And actually, I kind of like this one. It reminds me a bit of Steam. It reminds me a little bit of like a Windows media player back in the day, in a sense, but not that bad. It's kind of weird. So essentially what the main features with Play Night is that it imports sorry, one second. Right. No, not not that kind of night. It's Nite, not Knight. But it allows you to import the libraries, much like with Steam, Origin, and this one is actually pretty good because it's actually picking up on other game libraries as well, like GOG, Battle.net, and Uplay, including games that are not installed. Windows Store games are supported though, which is not something you find in most of these other launchers. They also have extensions, so you can download plugins written in .NET or by scripts like PowerShell or IronPython, and so there's a developing community for that. So if there's something that you think you want on this, you can essentially help the community out by writing a code and sharing it. And again, that's not something you're really going to find. And this is open source. This entire project is open source, so that's another great thing about it. We also have the fact that it's actually pretty darn fast, and it's kind of surprising because it's, even though it has a large library, the resources for it are actually pretty light. They say that it's also safe because it doesn't store any user information. It stores the same same amount of information as a web browser when linking accounts via cookies. It also has the same emulation support that one of the other launchers would have had. And if you're wondering like what kind of emulators, it's console emulators. They also have a full screen mode, so that big box mode. It's portable, so you can quite literally run it from a thumbnail drive or a flash drive, whatever you want to call it, USB stick. It also has the IGDB integration, so it can pull all of that artwork and pretty much all the metadata that you pretty much need. Covers, descriptions, so on and so forth. You can also place themes on it. So it's fully customized, from simple color changes to complete layout redesigns. It has a play time counter, so you can actually track how much time you're spending in game, including emulated ones. And you can import playtimes from Steam and GOG, which is pretty neat. And the best thing about it is it's completely free. Like, instead of having to have those special premium versions of whatever it is, everything's just free because it's open source. But you, of course, they do say, if you want to help them out, they have Patreon and PayPal, and one of the best ways is just to spread the word. So personally, when it comes down to game launchers, I've mostly been using just either Steam or NVIDIA GeForce Experience just to open up my games, or just opening up them directly. But moving forward, just because of how annoying it has been, I'm probably going to start using a game launcher. The only thing that's bugging me about it is that these game launchers still don't have any real cross compatibility for friends, for voice, for updating the games themselves, or some of the basics essentially that should have been there. Like, this is the reason why Steam was really made, and I guess people don't want Steam to have a monopoly, and so monopoly is not really a great thing. Competition's always great, but at the same time, it would be really nice if they could work on some kind of API together, so that all these different platforms can still talk to one another, and so people can essentially pick which one they prefer and still have communications with their friends that they want to have communications with, even if it's just being able to find them. And my camera is funking up. And let's see if that fixes it. There we go. So, moving on to gaming social networks. I'm not necessarily talking about where people are going and posting on Twitter saying support small streamers, hashtag support small streamers, so on and so forth. A lot of people actually, that one's actually an argument right there, because essentially you're keeping yourself as a small streamer by continuously calling yourself that. Not only that, but that also promotes follow for follow kind of mentality, which doesn't really help. You need actual viewers that will come back and watch you whenever you go live, or when you tell them that you're going live. That kind of thing is what you really need, not posting all that kind of stuff. That being said, there have been a lot of different companies or people behind the idea that gamers should have their own social media network. And this is the reason why we have things like forums, so on and so forth for different games. But people are actually looking more for like a Facebook for gamers. And that has almost... I think the first time I really saw that was probably 3 years after Facebook really came about. So that was about 2010-ish. And the thing about that is they had a lot of hype behind them. But then when push came to shove, they shut down, if I remember correctly, within 3 months. Because they just didn't have the resources, nor did they really have seemingly the vision to really keep it going. And not only that, they didn't really have the means to really grab gamers on a whole. And throughout the years, there have been many replications of this kind of system. And it's only nowadays, because of streaming mainly, that you're finding these communities starting to stick. They're mainly inside Discord channels, but you can still find certain ones like CGN, for example, which kind of have their own means. It's still for streamers, but it's the gamer network. Essentially what they're about, and these different groups are about. Hey Jackie, how you doing? Yeah, Malitage, that you hit it right on the nail. Discord. So a lot of these communities have started to pop up because of that, and now you still have, instead of forums, you have places like EA and other game developers trying to create their own Discord channels, aside from player-made ones or unofficial ones, where they pretty much manage it. They have community managers, so on and so forth, and moderators that manage the day-to-day usage for it. And that's well and good. But at the same point, what do you do about these social networks that kind of seem to be just there? So for example, let's talk about CGN. CGN, like I mentioned, has been there for a while now, and I actually was placed onto it because some people that I interviewed in the past, one of the first interviews I think we did, I think it was episode 11 with females in gaming, or women in gaming, I forget the exact title, where I interviewed women that game, and pretty much their take on the industry and so on and so forth, and how things were done, and how they as women feel about gaming. And it's from there that I kind of like found out about them, I should say. Since then, I've checked them out a number of times, and it seems mainly that the most interaction that I'll find on there is with people posting their status messages to say what they're up to, or that they're going live. I've posted in their forums before and got tepid responses, and it doesn't seem like there's much of a community inside the forums, which is disappointing. So forums and websites don't really seem to be lasting all that long, but Discord channels, on the other hand, seem to. Granted, the ones that I'm mainly seeing really stick around are the ones that are either localized, or so essentially it's like a group of friends from a particular area or high school or club or something like that starts up a Discord group, and they kind of go with that. The issue with that is that not everyone's using Discord. A lot of people are still on Facebook, inside Facebook groups, which, you know, kind of was a thing as well, even though that's kind of dying. And so it's kind of really much like gaming platforms, or launchers, I should say. This is quite disjointed, and there's no real easy way to find communities that really resonate to you. So even with EA Zone, I found out about that because a friend of mine who works at EA, and we were playing Battlefront, and he was like, hey, join the server and let's play Battlefront. So I did. And that's how I found out about that one. Some of the other ones I found out via Twitter, some looking up places online or from other streamers. Some quite literally was just going to a Discord search website and hoping that I don't end up with a crap server. Malita is just saying people don't really stick with Discord. It's new, and they end up going back to what they're used to. And that's kind of the case. That's the reason why people took so long to move over from MySpace to Facebook, and why people are stuck on Facebook instead of moving over to something else. Even though a lot of the younger generations are moving over to things like Snap, Instagram, Twitter, so on and so forth. Even though there are less and less younger kids I'm finding on Twitter nowadays. It's kind of weird. But the point that I'm getting at, really and truly, is that I wish these things were easier to find. I wish that there were easier ways to go about and actually manage these things. I don't want to have to, whenever I decide I'm going to play a game, have to open up a launcher for Final Fantasy XIV Online to then log in, and have to wait for an update. I much prefer it to be run something on Steam, where everything is updated one time because everyone's running on it. That being said, I know I could have bought it via Steam or something like that. I prefer not to because I don't want to be locked into Steam, which is kind of weird when you really think about it. But that's the next issue. What's going to happen next to these platforms? Because there's so much competition now. What's to say that the platform that you decide that you're going to spend your time on is going to last? Discord has a stickability because it's been around for a while. And we're not really expecting it to really go anywhere because of all the features that it already has that, quite honestly, not many other places have. Twitch tried it and they closed that down. Slack is pretty much the only other one that's been close, and Discord is kind of based off of Slack in a sense, and the way how they started up channels and so on and so forth. But even that is based off of IRC, which is a really old chatting protocol, standing for Internet Relay Chat. And it just adds upon that type of stuff to do things like sharing videos, pictures, documents, so on and so forth, so that everyone can then see that. Plus, it allows you to have that backlog of history, which people new to the server can actually watch, instead of like with IRC, where as soon as you join, that's the only thing you see. Malitaz says, I'm scared for Steam to go. I invested too much money into it. And you're right, but I don't really see Steam going anywhere. It's the people who use it often going to other places, or just like not having it on, so on and so forth. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I have the most people I have on is at Blizzard launcher, and then Steam, and then the rest are just like 2, 3, 1, so on and so forth, if it even has a system like that at all. And even with games like Final Fantasy that have their own launcher, they don't have a real chat system unless you're in game, and even then you have to be in a guild. You can't have like just a general chat server. Same thing for World of Warcraft with their mobile app. So all in all, there are reasons why it's like this, but at the same point, I really wish it wasn't. I know there are a lot of people that feel the same way. I think it will take some time before we really see this kind of plateau for launchers, but it's going to have to get to the point where people themselves just get pissed off enough and say, you know, we are absolutely frustrated with the amount of launches out there. I don't think we've quite reached that point yet. We're almost there, but we're not quite there. And then people saying, you know, okay, well, let's calm down. I think the ones that are going to stick around probably are Steam, is Discord. Sorry, are Steam, Discord, Epic Games launcher, and Blizzard launcher. I know there are going to be still those separate ones here and there. I really wish that wasn't the case, but especially if you want to get games from that are ported over from Korea or China or Japan or stuff like that, they're almost always going to have their own launchers. So there's nothing really you can do about that, which kind of sucks in that regard as well. 5 more launchers and you're going to snap. I wish you the best of luck on that one, because you're probably going to get a few more than that. I would expect at least 3 more launches to be by the end of 2020. Just saying. And then I think probably somewhere between 2021 and 2022, you're going to start to see it start to diminish. So it's going to be a while. It's going to be a real while. And I hate that, but that's just how I'm seeing it. That said, though, like, there's not much you can do about it. You just, because of how they have these games locked off, even if you buy the game on Steam, like Assassin's Creed Origins or Odyssey, you still have to open it up using the Origin launcher. Sorry, Origin launcher? No, the Uplay launcher. And that's how you update the game, and that's how you play the game, and that's how you get like stuff in the store, and that's how you do this and that and the next in that game. So there's not gonna be a real way to get around it because they're doing their fair share to make sure that they get as much people's eyes on their launcher so they can get information about your systems, know what you're doing, try to give you incentives like achievements, much like what Steam did, to pretty much get you to continue using their launcher instead of anyone else's, because then that means they can get you to maybe buy some of more of their games or games that they're selling, so on and so forth. Yeah. So I don't know. It's an interesting time for gaming developers. I personally wish they would decide to stick to one of four: Steam, Blizzard, Epic, or Discord. Those are the ones I'm fine with. Preferably Discord moving forward, just because of how they've been handling stuff. But Epic Games has been doing pretty good as well, especially when it comes to giving funds back to the developers. Like, the amount of profit sharing that they have is actually pretty solid. And there's also the fact that you can have cross-platform friends with that one as well because of how they built the game. So each of them have their own benefits, I should say. Battle.net has, some of the most popular games out there right now, plus voice and basic chat. Epic Games does not really have voice unless you're in-game. Kind of has chat in a sense, but not really. Discord has everything, and Steam also has everything, except I wouldn't use their voice system, to be quite honest. So, yeah, guys, that's actually it for this week's episode of Esports Wrap. Oh, actually, before we end, just as a thing, if you're looking for social media or social groups or to do social networking for gamers, take a look at your local community. Chances are there's one nearby that you can actually go to. Join maybe a Discord, maybe a WhatsApp group, maybe a Facebook group, or wherever. But chances are there's a community out there for you. And those are the ones that are going to be the people that you really know, because they're going to be within a certain distance. That's not to say that going international or going online isn't the way forward either. By all means, if you're a streamer, if you're a gamer, push yourself as much as you can to be the best that you can, as however difficulty you want to get. If you want to be casual, if you want to be competitive, if you just are super casual, like I play a game once every blue moon, kind of casual, then just do what's best for you. And like what Taj said, not everyone uses Discord, not everyone uses WhatsApp, not everyone uses Facebook. Find what's good for you and stick with it. Try to help it out, try to grow it. That's the only thing you can really do, because you're now a part of a community. And that's the whole thing about networking. Like, you mesh with other people. You try to, at least. But yeah, that's it for this week's episode of Esports Wrap. Don't forget, this show is going to generally be on 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time live. We also have our sister show, MOAR Tech, on Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as well. If you missed any part of this episode, we will have it up on YouTube. We will also have up our podcast, so you can listen to that pretty much anywhere that you can listen to our podcast. That includes Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, so on and so forth. And of course, you can do both on our website, MOARcookies, MOARcookies.com. And until next time, guys. Oh, right. If you want to have communications with us and just talk tech or games or just general stuff on a whole, feel free to join our Discord chat as well. It's in the description below. Feel free to hail. But yeah, until next time, guys, this is More Cookies. Take care.